Hi guys, today we're looking into the restoration of an AIWA AD-6500. It's a nice tape deck from the 70s. It's only a two-head machine, only got Dolby B, and got a wow and flutter of 0.13%. It's quite a big and chunky device with 8.5 kilos, and I got it in a really bad condition. The top cover, which I've already removed, is totally rusted. Also the front is not in the best condition, with oxidized buttons and rusty screws all around the device. Okay guys, so that's the inside of the deck, which looks pretty good. It seems there's only a single circuit board, which will make it rather easy to restore it. And this time I will take it completely out. I've learned from some other project that it can be really a pain to leave this circuit board inside and work on it. So I will unplug all these connectors, something the Akai GXC65D did not have, and take the whole board out, and it will swap all capacitors out from that board, so that we have a full restoration of this deck. I also removed the bottom plate, and there would be access from the bottom, but I think still it is easier to just take it out. And there's also then here access to the belt and other mechanical parts of the deck, so it's fairly easy actually to work on this one. What I also did is I connected a plug, and I think now is the moment to check if there is any life in it or if it's completely dead. So let's give it a go. Plug it in here. Okay. So when I'm sitting in the darkness here, in a couple of seconds, and it's probably because I have a short, so just push carefully the power button. Okay. So we see some light here, also some light on the transport. Looking at the bottom. Okay. Seems to be fine, everything. Yeah, then let's load up a tape. So that's how this opens. Okay. So definitely the buttons are looking absolutely horrible, so it will require some work. So let's see what happens. So this is one of these mechanisms where you need to put it in. Oh wow, that was pretty cool. Do that again. So I read about a unique mechanism how these AIWA decks are loading the tapes, but I thought it was mechanical and not motorized. We put that in, push here, and the motor pulls it in, and it even still works, so that's really amazing. Okay, so let's see if something spins when we push play. And indeed, there is some activity. So let me see if I can show that. So it's definitely moving, which is great, but I don't see much activity on the VO meters. No, that doesn't work like that. Let's move away a bit. So we have complete silence here. So that's not ideal. No, there's one channel moving a little bit. So it seems I again have the same issue I had on the other decks. There's one channel that moves and works, and the other one that is dead. I hope it's not as bad as it was with the Akai one. Yeah, and from the inside, what I noticed, so here's an indicator, and you can easily make it do something. So this is to show that the tape is moving, and there is one belt, and this belt is just totally gone. That's the one that is sitting there on this reel here, on this barrel, and when we replace that, we will also have the indication again. But I think to get output on both channels, we probably have to go indeed into the whole cap replacement and see how it turns out. That's a great quality front with a window for the VO meters made out of real glass. But let's unplug all these plugs from the main circuit board and see if we can get the board out. At the end, of course, things turned out to be a lot more difficult than I initially thought. I had to unsolder quite a number of wires just to be able to turn out the circuit board a little bit and be able to turn it around. And that's what happened for the next 3 hours or so. I identified the soldering joints of the different capacitors and took out the old one and put in new ones. It probably sounds a bit weird, but I kind of enjoy it. It's like meditation for me. After I was done with the capacitors, there was a bit of cleaning time, removing the mess, some of the belts left behind, and some of the mess that I created. Okay, so let's solder back on all these wires that I had to detach and see if all the work paid out and our tape deck is working now. Okay, so I have replaced all capacitors on the circuit board of this AIWA deck, so there's literally no old capacitor left in the entire machine. So when I hit play now, you can see that's actually all we got. So we only have the right channel working and not the left channel. So that was a problem that I had before I started to replace the capacitors. And I thought it would go away after I have replaced all of them, but actually it doesn't. Another source of problem is this switch here that is getting pushed when you hit the record button. So it makes a lot of connections with other parts of the circuit board and disconnects some with parts of the circuit board to go into record mode. So I bought some chemical and sprayed that in there to clean it, but all of that did not really help. So I thought maybe it's one of the transistors here, because they are making up some little amplifier, and maybe that's the source of the problem. And you can see when I touch the circuit board that there is some activity. So something is working there, but somewhere the signal is not really getting passed through. So what I did was I actually unsoldered both transistors that are there in that spot. And put them on my transistor tester, and it turned out that both of them are okay, or at least detected as transistors. And you know, I'm just the average guy that is trying to fight with technology and is making the best out of it, so I thought it should be fine. So I soldered them back in, and after I've done that and I turned it on, the left channel started to work, and that was really weird. And I didn't really find an explanation for that, and I thought a lot about what could be the reason for that, and I thought, hold on, I think because I heated it up and it was probably still warm, it somehow made it work. Yeah, and I want to demonstrate you what happens when I heat this transistor over there up, and I will also record the audio from the tape deck when I do that. So I just take my soldering iron and put it on top of it and keep it on there for a while, and then just see what happens. The left channel comes to life. That's incredible. And you will hear when I'm playing that audio that there is a lot of hiss in the left channel, so that that's probably a good sign also that this transistor is not really perfect. It's not working within the specs it should. And after it cooled down, it also stopped working again. So I checked what type of transistor it is, and it's I believe an SC1344, and searched for a replacement. And I found a thread on Audio Karma, and they were talking about the 25 worst transistors that should be always replaced. And of course, this transistor was also in there, and there was also a suggestion for 2 different replacements. And one of these replacements I was actually able to find on my electronics store here around the corner. So I bought a bunch of them, like 30 cents each. So what we are going to do is we will be replacing the faulty transistor and see that we have a signal again on the left channel. And we also then will change the right channel transistor, because the new transistors are considered a bit of an upgrade to the existing ones, because they are considered noisy and of bad quality. And so we will be upgrading this old AIWA deck a little bit by doing that. So let's just get to it, and let's remove the old transistor and put the new one in. Okay, before we get started, let's listen to the broken transistor and how it comes alive when heat is applied. I missed to hit the recording button when the Lionel Richie tape was in the deck, but that's the same effect but a tape from a different artist.
So, stop, look around you, you're right back.
So here you hear both channels working, and the broken transistor is the one with the hiss. And once cooled down, it's cutting out. Okay, so I checked the other side of the circuit board, and I believe that these 3 pins here belong to the transistor that we need to replace. So let's use some solder wick and get rid of the solder and pull it out. Okay. And here we have it. So that little guy is our problem. SC1344. And here's our replacement. Okay, so let's plug in the replacement. So I'm using those pliers, so then hopefully you can see that better, instead of me having my fingers in the way. Makes it a bit more fiddly. Okay. So important is that it's in the right orientation. Okay, I had some second thoughts around the orientation of the transistor and turned it now in the other way around. And okay, now let's solder it on and see if that works. Okay. It's Lionel Richie's turn. Let's see if we have a winner. And I would say we have. It just doesn't sound really great, but both channels are working now. Okay, so we fixed the major issue we had, and I think from an electronics point of view, we are now in good shape, but now it's really time to take some care of the transport and take it apart, see what's required, clean it up, lube it up, and do some adjustments as necessary. The fancy slide-in mechanism is in our way, so we have to remove it to get access to the more interesting bits and pieces of the transport. And that's how it looked after I have removed the slide-in mechanism. Actually pretty clean, and I was also surprised that the head looks great. Just the pinch roller probably needs a bit of attention. So I got a pinch roller that would actually fit, so I thought it's a good idea to take out the arm and see if I can put it in, but I wasn't really clear if I can remove it out of the arm. At least when I've removed it from the machine, cleaning of the pinch roller will be rather easy. It's not in that bad shape, it's just a bit dirty. Still, I'm not able to remove the arm because there is a spring that provides the tension against the capstan, and I have to detach the spring first before I am able to remove the arm. The spring also has different positions, I have found out, so you can move it into another position to provide more tension. And here we have it finally. So unfortunately, without really using a lot of force, it wouldn't be possible to remove the pinch roller from the arm. So I decided to keep it and instead treat it with some rubber rejuvenator and continue to use this pinch roller. After a really good clean, I decided to rough it up a little bit with a file, and it started to look pretty good. And once I was done with all of that, I let it soak a bit more in rubber rejuvenator and installed it back into the machine. I realized to get access to all of the belts, I actually have to take out the mechanism and also have to remove the back plate from the tape deck. So that was also a good opportunity to do some further cleaning. And here's our pinch roller again, looking pretty good now, and the whole deck is really nice and clean. I also cleaned the slide-in mechanism and put it back into the machine. So the tape has a handy lid to get access to the azimuth adjustments of the head, and now with both channels working, this is a great opportunity to do that now. So, and when I was turning the actual screw that does the azimuth adjustment, which is the left one, I noticed that the right one is loose as well. It's something that should not be changed or adjusted when you do such an adjustment. And after fixing that and continue my adjustment just by using my ears, I actually got to a pretty good result. We still have to do some major restoration work, so the case is in a very bad shape, so I will need to sand it down to the metal. It's something I'm going to do outside, and now I'm taking care of the front of the tape deck. First I'm removing this little movement limiter which lives under the piano keys. It's totally bent. Probably the tape deck was sitting on the floor and somebody hit it with his foot or something. So it needs to be bent back into shape, and it's also overall in a really bad condition, and I try to get rid of the rust that is sitting on it. With the combination of some Windex and also a little bit of Neverdal, I was actually able to get the front back into a pretty good condition. That's always the best moment, when things are going back together. I was really unhappy about this grubby feet, so I decided to remove this material which is inside of them and replace it with something nice and new. Time to put back on the bottom plate of the deck, and while I was at it I also replaced all the old rusty screws with shiny new ones. Okay, finally I moved the deck into the other room to test listen to it and to do some final adjustment. And now it is time to put the cover back on and close the device, and we are done with our restoration job. By the way, these are the original screws that came with the device for the case. And I had to have them sitting for about 4 days in vinegar to go from totally rusty into a pretty nice and clean condition. Needless to say that I'm very happy with the outcome of the restoration. The device went from completely trash into a really little gem, and I love the light show and the way it looks, especially in a dimmed room. And it actually also sounds really good. How good is something you will be able to tell in the next video about this deck, which will follow soon. I hope you enjoyed this restoration video. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss the next video about this deck and how it performs. And thanks for watching.